everyone, welcome back to the Ultimate Men's Hairstyle Guide, where each episode we break down one popular men's hairstyle so that you can decide whether it's right for you. So far, we've covered the buzz cut, the crew cut. Today, we're talking about one of the hottest hairstyles of the past several years, the textured crop. It's a modern, masculine, easy to style, and one of the most requested haircuts in barbershops today. Let's go ahead and jump in. So what is a textured crop? The textured crop features short sides, usually a taper or fade, and a longer top that's cut into layers to create movement and texture. Unlike the slick back or pompadour that needs to look perfectly styled, the textured crop usually looks better with a natural sort of effortless finish. It's one of the biggest reasons it's become so popular. Okay. Uh, hairstyle examples. So before we get into the details, let's look at a few examples. First, just a sketch, just to get you the general idea. Similar to how we started off with the buzz cut, you're shearing the sides. Same with the crew cut that we covered in episode 2. The difference here is that we have more of a sort of a lighter textured, kind of almost like a scruffier look than like the crew cut, for example, which tends to be a little bit more upright and styled straight versus having more of just kind of like I just woke up kind of look, right? So this is just the first example. So if I show you the next one, this is more of an accentuated version of the crop. So you can have a lower or mid or higher fade. This one's more of a like mid to lower fade with a longer top. Some can have a really messy fringe, while others kind of are cleaner and more structured. And as you're looking through these photos, don't try to copy someone else's haircut exactly. We'll talk about how to talk to your barber about this later, and he'll take that feedback and he or she and ideally make it something that suits your face and head style, right? So there's a couple of different examples here. This one's shorter. Again, this one's more of like a mid fade crop where it's a little bit shorter this time. This is a little bit more common, I think. Some people don't like to have hair on their forehead like that. Like I'm one of those people. So I'll do what more of a kind of like a messy crew. It's almost like a combination between a crew cut and a crop top, where it's more upright and it's kind of more off to the side, but not necessarily down on my forehead. I find that kind of bugs me if I've got like hair sitting on my forehead, right? It doesn't feel right. Um, Instead, so again, pay attention to the overall shape. I think if you can just get the shape that you like, your barber can make that work with your head. And then how much length is on top, where the fade begins. Again, that low, medium, high. And this will really help you communicate with your barber. So instead of just showing up with a couple of pictures, understand the different aspects and explain to them, where you actually want to land with this. So who it looks best on, we've covered this with the buzz cut as well as the crew cut. Again, it's still going to be like an oval face shape. Square face or heart-shaped face works well as well. It can also help soften the longer face because the fringe shortens the appearance of the forehead as well. That's with the hair coming down, right? So the best hair types is pretty much everything in this case. But if you have thick hair, medium density hair, wavy hair, or slightly curly hair, these tend to be the best. A straight cut can absolutely work too. Again, your barber can work with you in trying to really dial this in and make what works for you. And again, you may need to do multiple visits over a couple of months to grow certain parts of your hair out based on where you're starting. I've had to do that a number of times. Again, I try to stick with the same barber. We get into kind of a plan where we want to end up. You might go through a couple of awkward phases as the hair grows out, but you'll eventually get to where you want to be, and then you're good to go. So some of the pros are that it is a modern hairstyle. It's fairly easy to style. It grows out well. So other than shearing the sides, the length can be quite a big range. So you can keep growing it out if you like. It adds a lot of volume, which a lot of people like, and it works worth every type of fade. So it doesn't matter, again, low, medium, high fade, it still works really well. Because of the textured fringe, it can even help soften slightly receding hairlines. If you want to have a lower appearing hairline, that you can have the fringe wherever you want, coming down, to help style that. Styling is surprisingly simple. Just start with slightly damp hair typically and use a small amount of like matte clay or matte paste or maybe textured powder. And then work it through your hair with your fingers. Do not comb it. You're going to get into crew cut territory if you start combing it and grooming it a little bit more. This is supposed to look a little bit messy, right? So the goal isn't perfection here. The goal is natural movement and separation. If it looks a little messy, you're probably doing it right. So as you go into your barber, just be very specific. Tell your barber something like, hey, I'd like a mid fade with about 2 or 3 inches on top. I'd like lots of texture using point cutting and natural fringe in the front. And I'd like to have more of a finished natural look, like not shiny. Like that's an example. So you can take any one of those different aspects, change it. Of course, look at some images and get some ideas, but then try to hone it in what's good for you. And then your barber can really work with you to make something that works well for you. Again, it might not take one session, it might take 3 or 4, but you'll have a plan to get to where you want to be. And then as you go along, you can make changes as well, certainly. So from a hair score perspective, um, it's from a number of different categories here for style. It's absolutely modern. It's really highly desirable. A lot of people are doing it now. Maintenance is like 4 out of 10. I mean, you still have to do something. It's certainly not a buzz cut, which is where I'd give like a 5 out of 10 for maintenance. It's super easy. Even crew cuts, I think, are a little bit easier than the crop because just the texture alone requires you to do just a little extra maintenance, but it's still very easy to maintain. It can have a professional look. For a really professional look, like I would typically go for like a crew cut. It's pretty classic. But if you want something that's a little bit more casual, but also still professional, this works pretty well for you. Versatility is good. You can use it in a lot of different circumstances. And then, working for most men, it's almost a 10 out of 10. Like it's hard to go wrong because there's so many different ways that you can style it, between the height of the fade as well as how long it is in the front, how much volume you put in it. You've got a lot of variability, and your barber can really work with you to make something that works well. Okay. So that's kind of my final thoughts on, it's clean, it's very masculine, it's easy to wear. Unlike many, sort of newer trendy hairstyles, it'll look good years from now, right? So this is something you can stick with and kind of dial in for years. Okay, so in the next episode, we'll cover the quiff. So this is definitely a higher bar for maintenance that we'll get into. We'll talk about who it works for, how much effort it really takes to style, and whether it's worth the extra maintenance. If you enjoyed today's episodes, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Would you choose a crew cut or a textured crop? Which one works better for you and why? Thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next episode.